have dry skin, do not be afraid of powders. If you're new here, hi, my name is Morgan and I have dry skin. And powders are one of those products where I don't like switching around my powder routine too much. I have a select few tried and trues that I will always go back to. As a makeup reviewer, I'm constantly trying new makeup in different categories all the time. And there's so many categories where I don't really mind that I'm trying new stuff. But when it comes to my powders, I hate testing new powders because most of the time I just don't love what they do for me because I have dry textured skin. So for my dry skin gals, I'm going to be giving you the ultimate guide to powders. I have different price points, different levels of coverage, powder foundations, setting powders, finishing powders, blurring powders, lightweight powders, heavy duty coverage powders. We're covering it all within 11 different products. And I do think powders are coming back in. We've had our cream moments, and there's nothing wrong with cream products. I know us dry skin girls have been thriving with the cream products, but I love the way that a powder blurs the skin and makes makeup last longer. And let's be honest, no matter how dry your skin is, sometimes you need a powder if it's gonna be a long night, and nothing blurs like a powder. And there's nothing to be afraid of because I'm giving you the best of the best, the ultimate guide to powders. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm starting off with the fullest coverage products, powder foundations. Whew. Scary, right? Dry skin, what can you do with a powder foundation? Well, I'm giving you 4 different options here where I find that they don't emphasize my dryness. Now, my tips are, of course, you want to hydrate your skin before. There are no cheats. If you have dry skin, you need to hydrate beforehand. And another trick to powder foundations is a good hydrating setting powder after, and you'll be good to go. I promise. These are all top-notch products. So what recently got me into a powder foundations that just set it off like powder foundations are amazing even on dry skin is the new Natasha Denona High Glam Powder Foundation. This does not emphasize dry patches on my skin, and it gives quite full coverage considering it's a powder. It looks super smooth, it looks super soft, and the benefit of a powder foundation over like a liquid foundation is it's just so much quicker to like slap on the face. You know, when it comes to liquid foundations, I have to pump it out, I have to spread it out, I have to spread it out on my skin, I have to push it in, I have to use a sponge, then I have to clean my hands. Not with a powder foundation. You get a brush, you pop it on, and you pop it on your face. So, this Natasha Denona one, really great. In the demo, like I felt like it smelled a little bit funny. I don't know, it's brand new though, and it looks really soft. It doesn't emphasize texture. You don't need all of the powder foundations I'm talking about. I'm just giving you different options for different brands you might want to support. Different powders might be accessible to you. So this is one, it's great, but there is one that I like a little bit more, like it's much more. It's as good as the Natasha Denona, and like it's much better maybe. This is the Makeup Forever Skin Matte Velvet Powder Foundation. I think they might have a better range of colors as well. Makeup Forever, they just know what they're doing when it comes to creating powders. Virtually the same sentiments that I have about the Natasha Denona, but like a hair maybe more dry skin friendly. I think all of the powder foundations I'm showing you today, they will work for oily and dry skin types, but these are ones, they have like a soft creamy consistency to them that is a little bit more hydrating on dry skin. So this one to me is like the creme de la creme of powder foundations, and it's right on par with the Natasha Denona that I just mentioned. Doesn't emphasize dryness, kind of soaks into your skin to look like a liquid foundation. And like I said, if you have dry skin, hydrate before with your favorite moisturizer, and then as it might look a little bit dry upon application, as soon as you get a good hydrating setting spray on and maybe like an hour of wear, it should settle in and not look dry anymore. So love this one. This one is a little bit lighter. I think ND can feel a little bit thicker on the skin. Another great one from Fenty Beauty, if you're familiar with your you know, your shade in Fenty Beauty, maybe you might want to go towards the Fenty Beauty. This is the Soft Matte Powder Foundation. Of the 4 that I'm mentioning, I think this one gives the least amount of coverage, but it still gives a good coverage. But since it's lighter, it's actually really beautiful as a setting powder as well to give a little bit of additional coverage also. but you can still build up the coverage with this. Again, just really soft, really smooth finish, doesn't catch dry patches, all things considered with it being a powder. So this is another one of my favorites that does not emphasize dryness on me. And then the last one, I wanted to get in a really nice, affordable option as well because I did offer more higher end options. So this one is from the brand J-Cat Beauty. This is such an underrated product. It's the Aquassurance Compact Foundation. Baby, this gives full coverage. I would say it's probably the driest, if you will, of all the ones that I'm mentioning, but I'm telling you, setting spray and an hour for the product to set in and it looks really good. It's also one of the fullest coverage products as well. It's one of my all-time favorite powder foundations from the drugstore. e.l.f. also has a pretty good one, but I find that the J-Cat one to be a little bit more hydrating on the skin. So all of those are really great powder foundations. I couldn't choose just one, so I wanted to offer all of those to you since these are a little bit more shade specific of what you have to pick up. There's a whole bunch of different shade ranges within those, but they're all great on dry skin. Don't be scared of a powder foundation. I'm telling you, they're beautiful, they last a long time, and they're blurring. So if you have porous skin, these are great. The next category I have are the lighter weight setting powders that are phenomenal for dry skin. Now, these ones are great in small capacities, just lightly setting the face, but I mean, they're all great. You can really layer them on as well if you want to, but these have a lighter weight feel on the skin, and they are, two of them are pretty blurring. I'll talk about the one that's not, because my tip for dry skin, if you are scared of powder or you're having a drier skin day and you want very minimal product, something that's really lightweight, these three are great options. So first is the Pat McGrath Labs Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder. So this was formulated with the under eye in mind, and no matter what, even if I'm not setting my face, I need a powder on my under eyes to set the concealer, and this is such a lightweight yet extremely blurring powder. It's very fragile, but that softness really shows up on the eyes as well. I use this all over the face. This is such a lightweight powder, you can put it everywhere, but even on days that I don't want to use powder, I'm just using a little bit of this on the under eyes. It's completely weightless, but does a big job of blurring. It is one of my all-time favorite powders. It's probably my favorite pressed powder in terms of setting on the market. So this one, incredible. The packaging, she kind of sucks, and I know you're paying Pat McGrath prices, but the quality of the powder that's inside is so nice. I highly recommend it. It's probably one of my most recommended products in this video. It's one of the most, like, you must have it. I also wanted to offer a really nice lightweight setting powder from the drugstore, and this is actually a new one that I've tried and I enjoy it so much. This is the Physicians Formula Mineral Wear Diamond Blur Skincare Powder. So this one is extremely lightweight and very, very blurring. It's almost like a loose form of the Pat McGrath. They're very similar. It's extremely extremely super. It's very smooth on the under eyes. You don't feel it. It's feather light. This is a product that I haven't heard anybody talk about, but it's extremely dry skin friendly and affordable. Though Physicians Formula is on the more pricey side of powders at the drugstore, they killed it with this formula. It's very, very fine. I like to use a sponge to press this into the skin. That's where I find I get the most blurring, and it's phenomenal. It works so much better than a lot of high-end and luxury powders that I've tried. So those are the two lightweight blurring ones. This next powder that I'm going to mention, it almost changes nothing. So listen, this is what I mean. On days that you want to set with powder for longevity, but you really don't want to change the base, you don't want to change the finish of the base, you don't want to add any powder that's going to suck out any additional dryness, this is great for those super dry days. There is not another powder on the market like this. This is the Hourglass Translucent Setting Powder Veil. So if you have complete cream slash glowy makeup on, you're going for that glowy look, but you don't want it to slip and slide everywhere. You do want a little bit of longevity. Pop a little bit of this on the face and it's going to change almost nothing. Now, With the nature of it being a powder, it might suck away some of the glowiness, but that glow will come back within time after the powder has kind of settled into the skin. So it has this, I don't know, like amazing technology where it sets the face but still keeps the finish of the products you have underneath, making this a trusty item in a dry skin person's collection, because sometimes you're wearing that all cream makeup because your skin is just not looking and feeling good, but you're going to be wearing it for a long time. That's when this product is going to come in handy. Of all the powders that I have here, this one is one of the most like one of a kind powders. And I'll talk about the other one. There's two like super one of a kind powders. This is one of them, and this will help soak up the oils and the oiliness, the greasiness, without taking away from the glow that's left behind. It absolutely does not emphasize or stick to any dry patches on the face. So those were more of my lightweight options. I do have heavy duty options. Now, these heavy duty ones are going to sometimes lay down pigment and change the color. We'll talk about it. But they're going to blur like you've never seen before. Those pores are going to disappear. Now, especially with more mature skin, you guys are scared of baking. I know, you tell me all the time, you're scared of that thicker layer of powder. Fair. I'm going to give you some tips, but as always, do what you're comfortable with. So the first one is the most blurring powder, I would say, of today's entire video. If you want those pores and fine lines to disappear, this is it. It is also, however, the heaviest setting powder. So do keep that in mind, because sometimes that cannot be very flattering on mature skin. But this is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. You can literally feel the creaminess of this product if you get it on the fingers, because it does not stick to dry patches and it blurs everything away. Now, if you do not like a thick layer of powder on the skin, which is understandable, I do find that you get the best level of blurring with a sponge. So stick your sponge in and then wipe it on the back of your hand and then press. So you're getting that extra layer of product off of your applicator, but still getting that very thin layer evenly covering the sponge and being able to apply it even just like that on the under eye, on the porous areas of your skin without having that thick layer of powder. So that is definitely my biggest hack for more mature skin, but everybody in general. If you don't like a ton of powder, that's the best way to do it. Now, when I would go to these crazy events in humidity in Miami, I made that layer thick with powder, and this still didn't look dry or cakey on my skin. Honestly, I cannot believe this is an affordable product because it's the most blurring. This next product is so well loved by you guys. You guys actually recommended it to me, and you were right, because you knew what a big fan of the Maybelline Fit Me powder I was and the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Setting Powder, and you were like, Morgan, you have to try this. This is the Givenchy Prism Libre Loose Setting Powder. I have mine in the shade number 3, Rosé. There's 4 different color powders in here that kind of mix up into one. So this is the dry skin friendly version of my beloved Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Setting Powder. I do like this one a lot, but it's a little bit more matte, which can emphasize dryness. So I think that if you want this powder but you have dry skin, try the Givenchy. They're virtually the same, but this one has the most subtle amount of glow to it that's going to be more flattering and more tolerable on dry skin. So if you're in between the two, if you have dry skin, Givenchy is the way to go. Again, really lightweight and thin feeling, but locks in makeup and smooths it right out. It's a stunning powder, one of the absolute best on the market, and I'm telling you, I actually prefer, if we're talking setting makeup, a loose powder, because I feel like it blurs and sets in the makeup, and that Givenchy is one of the best on the market. And then the last one, like I'm talking Maybelline, Givenchy, and this next powder, these 3, they all kind of work one in the same, so I can only use so many adjectives to describe them, but I just want to give you different options, different price points. I have this one on my skin right now, so if you're wondering why my skin is so poreless, it's because of this one, and this one is so underrated, you guys. It's the Sigma Soft Focus Setting Powder in the shade Vanilla Bean is what I use, and yeah, it definitely gives that soft focused effect. So once again, just like the other two, it is a heavier powder, if you will, but it blurs like no other and does not emphasize any dry patches. So this is another one. If you want to go for the smaller brand, definitely look towards the Sigma one. Beautiful. Same stitch, use the sponge, wipe it off on the back of your hand, lightly press into the makeup, go back on the hand, lightly press back onto the makeup. And now the last powder that I have to talk about is another extremely unique product. This is a finishing powder, and if you watch my videos, you already know where I'm going with this. There can only be one finishing powder, and it is the Hourglass finishing powders. I have so many different ones. I used Dim Light today because that's kind of the standard here. You can grab this in the multiple palettes that they offer. It's one of their most created colors. It's featured the most in most palettes, and even though it's a shade that's repeated often, I honestly don't mind having so many finishing powders in my collection because of how versatile they are. Now, I couldn't do the best demo today because of the base that I had underneath. I had all cream makeup on today, but this finishing powder will finish up a powder look. So hear me out. You have a powder, blush, bronzer, and highlight on. You know how sometimes they can look separated? Taking that finishing powder and popping it over all three different formulations will create the most seamless finish. The finishing powders from Hourglass have a really fine glow to them that is only really able to be seen like when you go out in real life in sunlight. It just kind of finishes that look. Dry skin thrives on a more hydrating finish. So this, despite it being a powder, the glow actually blurs over everything and blends everything together. It's such a lightweight powder, and with it being pressed, it doesn't stick to any dry patches. So when you'll find this is good, you know, when you have a lot of powder on your face and it's just not looking as hydrated or smooth because you have dry skin, take this finishing powder and it will veil over everything and just kind of make it all look soft and soft focus. So this is definitely a handy dandy product for dry skin. It's so unique, and brands have tried to replicate the Hourglass finishing powder, and in my opinion, nobody's been able to do it the way Hourglass has, and it's totally worth the splurge if you have the money to splurge on that. So there we have it, you guys. All of these are powders that are constantly within rotation of my everyday makeup routine because I can trust that they are not going to make my skin look dry, crackly, or cakey. So if you have dry skin, make sure you comment down below which powders are your favorites, whether I mentioned them in today's video or not. If you have any tips and tricks for dry skin, let us know down below. And even if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear why, because I find that to be valuable information as well. You guys know I'm always referencing you guys in videos and what you guys say in the comments, so I'd love to use your experiences as references as well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now this was a play off of the best foundations for dry skin. This is like the best powders for dry skin. So I will link that foundation video down below for you guys to check out if you're looking for some of the best hydrating foundations, and always check out the comments because lots of great tips and advice and product recommendations in the comment section as well, which I'm hoping we will get out of today's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.